Israeli authorities are preparing to approve plans for a transition to the full occupation of the Gaza Strip, Ynet reports. The publication cites information received from high-ranking officials from the entourage of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The die is cast, we are going for a complete occupation of the Gaza Strip, Israeli officials said. The Israeli military leadership is against this decision, in particular the chief of the general staff. On Monday, Eyal Zamir was supposed to go on a visit, but he cancelled the trip. The Israeli government is ready to ignore the opinion of the military. Combat operations will be conducted even in those areas of the Gaza Strip where hostages are being held. If this does not suit the chief of staff of the IDF, he may resign, the article says. So, the government is divided at the same time. Politicians close to Netanyahu, Ron Dermer, Bezalel Smotrich and Itamar Ben-Gvir, are in favor of the operation. Against, leader Herdim Aryeh Deri, head of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Gideon Sa'ar and advisor on national security Tzahi Hanegbi. About 25% of the territory of the sector remains under the control of Hamas. Netanyahu's plan includes 3 goals: the military defeat of the group, the return of all hostages, and the long-term elimination of the threat to Israel. According to Ynet, the Israeli leadership has come to the conclusion that the release of the hostages as a result of the agreement is no longer possible due to the fact that the negotiations have reached a dead end. On August 4, ABC News reported, citing an Israeli official, that Netanyahu favors resolving the Gaza hostage issue militarily. According to the source, diplomatic efforts to resolve the crisis have failed and Tel Aviv is increasingly convinced that Hamas is not interested in making a deal. That is why Prime Minister Netanyahu is insisting on expanding military operations to free the hostages militarily, the Israeli official said. On the same day, the Jerusalem Post wrote that former heads of Israel's Mossad intelligence services Tamir Pardo and Shin Bet Ami Ayalon, as well as former deputy chief of the General Staff of the Israel Defense Forces Matan Vilnai, sent a letter to U.S. President Donald Trump asking him to force Netanyahu to end the war in the Gaza Strip. According to the newspaper, the letter was signed by more than 600 former senior Israeli security officials. According to them, the 2 goals of the military operation, which had to be achieved by force, have already been fulfilled long ago, while the third, which is the release of hostages from Gaza, can only be achieved through diplomacy.
The shortage of manpower in the Russian armed forces is forcing the Kremlin to take extreme measures. Women have been spotted in the ranks of the occupiers in the battles in the Pokrovsky direction. A video of one of the female occupiers was published by the channel of the 3rd Special Forces Brigade, Spartan, of the National Guard of Ukraine. The video confirms that the Russians have begun using women in assault operations against Ukrainian Defense Forces positions. The footage was filmed during fighting near Pokrovsk in Donbass. The footage shows a precise drone strike on a bush behind which a group of Russian soldiers was apparently hiding. A few seconds later, a woman in uniform, presumably wounded, runs out of the shelter. She runs about 10 meters and falls. Nothing is known about her subsequent condition. Spartan soldiers commented on what happened. During the active fighting, we saw a lot. Stormtroopers on crutches, former prisoners, occupiers on drugs, a woman for the first time. Back in 2023, information emerged that the Kremlin had begun recruiting female prisoners to participate in the war against Ukraine. They were recruited directly in prisons and colonies with the promise of early release. According to human rights activists and journalists, such women could be used as medics, sappers, or shooters in the rear areas. However, the direct participation of Russian women in assault operations has not yet been recorded. The appearance of a woman in a combat group on the front line may indicate a critical shortage of manpower in the Russian army. Fierce fighting has been going on near Pokrovsk for a long time. Ukraine is defending one of the key hubs of the Donetsk region. Russia is suffering colossal losses there. Earlier, media reported that female prisoners were being recruited into Putin's army. Journalists managed to talk to former prisoners of Correctional Colony No. 2 in Ulyanovsk, Leningrad region, Russian Federation. They claim that a group of recruiters has been working in this penal colony since the fall of 2023, offering women to go to the front as snipers and assault troops. According to sources, the Ministry of Defense managed to recruit 20 to 50 prisoners. The publication Important Stories contacted the relatives of 2 women recruited into the army. They confirmed the information. The prisoners were promised a pardon as a reward for their participation in the war. Before being sent to the front, they were reportedly guaranteed a month of military training. They signed a contract for a year. The 24th Separate Mechanized Brigade, named after King Daniel, showed some of the Russian paratroopers who surrendered near Chasiv Yar. The brigade emphasized that the prisoners are not in any danger. One of the groups of fighters from the 98th Airborne Division of the Russian Federation, who were going to storm Chasiv Yar, realized that their commanders had sent them to be slaughtered and surrendered to Ukrainian captivity. The brigade noted, the brigade emphasized that the prisoners are treated in accordance with international law. They are fed, given water, allowed to smoke and rest, without beatings, torture, or humiliation, the brigade emphasized. They also note that captivity is the only chance for a Russian attack aircraft to survive and return home. The brigade showed photos of prisoners. Many of the prisoners have numerous tattoos, which are usually done by people in Russian prisons. The captured soldiers themselves admitted they were exhausted, demoralized, and had no understanding of what they were fighting for. Ukrainian forces also addressed the families of the Russian military. Your loved ones have preserved their lives. They are being held in proper conditions, receiving food and medical care. Tell your fellow citizens, Ukraine is not a place for reforming Russians. No one is re-educated here. They are eliminated, and the only chance for those already at war is to surrender to Ukrainian captivity in order to stay alive and return home. Earlier, Ukrainian forces captured 2 Russians on the Pokrovsk front. Both enemy soldiers were residents of the Tomsk region. Shortly before that, Ukrainian Special Operations Forces captured several dozen Russian Marines in the Kursk region. Particularly, the troops from Russia's 810th Marine Brigade were taken prisoner on the very day Russia was celebrating Marine Corps Day. Recall, Russia said it had captured the town of Chasiv Yar in eastern Ukraine after nearly 16 months of fighting, opening the way for potential further advances. Russia's defense ministry said in a brief statement its forces had liberated the town. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenski dismissed the claim as disinformation. A Ukrainian military spokesperson called it propaganda. But a video posted by a Russian military unit showed a Russian paratroop banner and the national flag being raised by soldiers in the desolate ruins of the town.